Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Nitty's Kitchen, Chef to Chef podcast. Today, I have a very, very special guest in the house, Chef Lexis. She's to me, a superstar chef, celebrity chef. You can find her in a lot of places, such as Essence. You can see her on the Food Network. You can see her a lot of places. So, like, this is really one of the ones. I knew her for a long time, so like this is really good. So Chef Lexis, thank you for joining the Chef to Chef podcast.
Of course.
Let the world know where you're from,
Mhm.
and what inspired you to become a chef.
Okay, so obviously, Chef Lexis, right? Lexis Gonzalez. I guess that'll make sense to know where I'm from. So, I'm from Harlem. I'm from New York. My family is
Harlem.
from Harlem. My dad's side is Puerto Rican, so the Gonzalez. And then my mother's side is from Charleston, South Carolina. So them two came together. They met in New York, but the other family are from down south, they're from Puerto Rico.
Okay, nice, nice. So, what side of your family do you say like was the cooking part? Like, what side did you get the cooking bug from?
So I would say it's both because that's why I created this thing called Boricua Gishi cuisine. So it's both mixed together as I grew up because believe it or not, a lot of my family on my Puerto Rican side, most of my cousins are half black, which is so funny. So we're all half Puerto Rican and black. But I mean, I guess it was when if I think about it, like a lot of people in their neighborhood, they're from the Bronx. And they would just have to be around black people and Puerto Rican people.
Hmm.
So it just kind of went that way. It's so funny. So they um they both cook just differently. So when I would go to my nana's house, we would cook and all the cousins would gather around in the living room. We all sit on the floor and have arroz con gandules,
Mm.
pernil, sancocho, depending on what my grandmother made, rather my nana. And my grandfather, they say, would make sancocho, which is a soup, Puerto Rican soup. So he would make that on some days too. And at my grandmother's house, I would say that's my mom's side. They cooked pretty often. We didn't have family dinner at my grandmother's house, my mom's side. But like I would have family dinner with my mom, but not necessarily my grandmother's side.
Hmm.
But my grandmother definitely cooked. So she would make okra perlo. So on the stove we have okra boiled with chicken and everything. She'll make
Hmm.
boiled chicken and rice. So similar to arroz con pollo,
Hmm.
but the black people make it the same way, which is funny because no, like they kind of intertwine. So that's why it's so easy for me to meld the flavors and the dishes together because some of them are so similar, we just don't realize how similar they are.
It's a similar,
So
it's similar process, but just different flavor. It's just
yes,
flavor different.
similar
It's the
process,
same
different flavor.
process, just flavor different.
Yeah, because I think I saw somebody the other day was like, "Oh, who boils chicken?" I'm like, "I boil chicken." And they're like,
Everybody.
I'm like, everybody boils chicken. They're like, why would you boil chicken? I'm like, because you use the chicken, you boil it, and the flavor from the chicken goes in the rice. And then
Hmm.
sometimes I cheat with the okra perlo and I boil the chicken first, and then just
Mm.
shred it up and then mix it in with the rice, so I don't have to mix it all together. Because I
Mm.
haven't perfected that yet. Because I think that takes a lot of time. And
Now, question I would ask:
it's a
What do they
season.
normally use, the legs or the thighs? Which one do you know? Would you
When
normally?
I when I boil a chicken, more than likely I'll boil thighs.
Mm-hmm.
But I have boiled legs for like the arroz con pollo, so I'll mix the two together, legs and thighs, and then put it together for the rice and chicken. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, it's usually whatever's on sale. I mean, honestly, as long as it's dark meat.
That part. That part. Which one cheaper?
Yes.
That's
Uh,
fun. That's good. That's good.
yeah.
So at what age did you say like, you know what? I want to take being a chef serious, and I want to ride this out
Yes.
and make it my career.
So I would say the funny part about it is I've always cooked. So like you said, how did I get to start cooking? How did I start my career before? Like I always cooked. Since I remember I learned how to cook rice and peas when I was 12. My mom's boyfriend then he was Jamaican, so I learned how to
Mm-hmm.
cook porgies and butterfish and snapper and right there rice and peas and jerk chicken and all that other things from him. And then when I got to be old, I mean, I would watch my grandmother because Black family, they don't let you in the kitchen. So that's another
Mm-hmm.
thing. You just gotta watch and just kind of like figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I got to be older, my nana, when I had my sons, my first son, she was my first son because she would help me with him. She actually came to my house and showed me how to do a lot of the foods. Once my dad had passed, so she would sit with me and then we would go in the kitchen and she would show me how to do the foods. So that was really cool. When would I start cooking? I would say professionally, technically, when I was
Mm-hmm.
16.
Okay.
So funny part is I used to work at Chuck E. Cheese in Harlem. I was the first
The one on 125th?
Oh, 125th. I worked at Chuck E. Cheese. First real job. I mean, I had some youth job, but like this is the first real job. And I was head cashier, but I would do the prep, the salad prep.
Mm.
And I was like, oh, this is cool. I can come here early, do my thing, be done. Like, but yo, salad prep is a lot of work when you gotta cut all that stuff up. Like, it's no joke.
Mm-hmm.
Cleaning all that stuff, cutting everything. And I would sell cookies and cupcakes and brownies at lunch during high school to make money.
Mm-hmm.
So when I went to college, I went to Baruch at first, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna be an accountant. I like totally disregarded that because I didn't think that would be in my profession, and I just decided to change it up. I was like, well, what do I want to be? I wasn't happy being in an accounting program. I love numbers. I just didn't like the program. It just didn't give me any creative outlet. So I'm like, all right, cool. Let me just figure something out. So I was like, well, I want to be an event planner. That's what it really was. I was going to be an event planner. But in that year, let's say I'm 32, that would have to be what 2009. That's okay. So that would be 2011. That would be 2000 what? Ooh, 10, 2010.
Mm-hmm.
And that would mean that there was no event planning program. So it was only a minor then. And they were like, well, you got to take cooking. You got to take culinary classes. So I was like, all right, I'll take culinary classes. I was like, forget it. I like to cook anyway. I like to entertain. So that's what my real thing was. I love to throw parties.
Mm-hmm.
I was always the person that would throw like the game nights in college, have everybody come over for like drinks and do pre-game, everything you think of, we would do that like at my friend's house, and I would host them. So when they were like, you got to go to school for cooking, I was like, oh, that's easy. I'll learn how to cook. That way I know all of the things, front house, back of the house, I'll be good. Little did I know that it would take me it would keep going, like I was like, okay, cool. I'll just do it. And then my teacher was like, oh, you're really good at this.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, cool, whatever. She was like, you ever thought about a career in desserts? Because that's why I started with desserts. And I was like, not really. I mean, I just like to eat dessert. Like, I love cake. And they're like, you know what it is? I love the flavors of cake. So I like the guava, the pineapple. And if you're from New York, you get a good old Dominican cake for your birthday.
Oh, man, yeah.
So,
some good stuff.
So when you get some piña, you get some guava, you get all these great flavors in the cake. I would just always be fascinated by these flavors. So when it came to desserts, when I came into baking classes, I was fascinated with the flavors that go into baking, like all those different sweets that can give you this magic. Like you have flour, you have sugar, and you have butter, but you can make cake, cookies, brownies.
So it's more so like you was attracted to the chemistry of it.
I'm attracted to the
understanding
chemistry.
how you could how to break down the cake, like knowing everything's in it, and like I get it. That's funny because
like when you buy chicken, you're gonna get chicken. But when you got flour, you don't know what you're gonna get.
You don't know what you can make. You can make pasta, you can make anything.
Yes.
So like I see what you're saying. I see exactly. It's funny because you're saying that it made me think about when I went to culinary school, right? I had that one teacher that like really like my freshman year. Yep. He was a black teacher too, right? His name was Chef Jenga. And like that was like the first black chef that I really like got personal with. And when he gave me like that same thing, like, yo, Damien, you're really good at this. Like you're really, really good at this. Like keep going. And I saw it was like that bit of confidence propelled me so far in life just because that one person told me that I was actually good,
Yeah.
if that makes any sense. Not saying that wasn't good, but it was like
You didn't
I
know
could see how
the
that
potential.
confidence. Yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't know my potential until a real chef told me you
Mm-hmm.
have tons of potential.
Yep.
And so once I started seeing that, everything just went like uphill from there, you
It
know.
just makes
So
sense. Like the puzzle
mhm.
pieces just fit afterwards.
Yeah, pretty much, pretty
Yeah.
much. That's funny. I like that. I like hearing things like that. You know. So what was and yet within your career, right? Because I knew when you first started
Yep.
your baking shop. You
Yep.
know, if I'm not mistaken, it was like on 120.
Fourth and Madison. Yep.
Yeah,
Right on the east
124th and
side.
Madison. You know,
Yes.
and I remember coming in there helping you out one time, and
Mm-hmm.
like you was like covered in flour, you know, and that it was cool, you know, because it shows passion and everything. But getting into that, I just wanted to know, like, what as a business owner and as a chef and as a baker, what was a couple of your biggest challenges within the industry
Okay.
that made you almost say, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore?
So
Because I know we all been there.
So one of the things that was very, I would say, is challenging, and people don't really. I mean, people talk about it, but I think we kind of sweep it under the rug a lot of times. There's only one spot for a pastry chef.
Mm,
There's not multiple pastry chefs. So if you don't work at a bakery, you'll never really work at some of these restaurants because what happens is they only got one slot, and if they want to,
mm.
sometimes if they want to, they'll X you out they'll X the dessert out first if costs got to be cut.
I do realize that.
So people don't. They be like, "Oh, go get a job at a restaurant." I'm like, I don't want to be on the line. Like I never want to be on the
Hmm.
line. I love the line and the thing that it brings to you, but I like catering part more. I like
After a
that
while,
part.
the line is like, all right, it's.
It's
I see what you're
annoying.
saying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but when you're on the line and you have that one pastry chef, like when I was when I was in college, I did this internship at Pitch Food Design. And great concept. You know, we did, it's called the one bite, if I'm not mistaken, one bite or two bite concept, where everything he has in his thing is literally one bite or two bites, no more.
Hmm.
It's that's because they're all miniature things. And he had one. So what happened was I lucked up. I really, really lucked up. Yo, it's funny because as you hear my stories, a lot of people hear my story, they're like, you you put things into motion and you manifested it and luck always finds you. And I think it's prayer, but that's another thing. But you know, I got there and the lady that was the pastry chef went on maternity leave 3 days
Mm,
after I started the internship.
mm,
So I, at 19 years old, 19, 20 years old, 20 years old, became the pastry chef for most of the stuff at Pitch Food Design. Like it was
mm.
crazy as an intern. You know what I mean? Like it was like I was like, oh shit, like this is crazy because it's like you have all this stuff and you have to make like I gotta make like 100 of these what they call galettes or like
Hmm.
that like hundreds like 100 of one flavor, 100 another flavor, 100 another flavor, and then pack them up ready for them to go like and you get this small corner and all this other thing. So when I think about that and I tell people like what you know like the pitfalls of being a pastry chef is like give us a little bit more respect.
Mm,
I think the pastry chefs give us more respect, but sometimes the cooks don't give us as much respect.
mm.
And you know, it's a lot that goes into making a pastry nice and perfect, and making sure it's
Oh,
not
trust me, I get it.
dry and it's not, and it's decadent, and it gives you this, you know, there's flavors that make you feel like you're in your grandmother's kitchen or
Hmm.
whatever makes you feel, and it transports you back into that moment or to that bakery you loved when you were a kid that you never found that flavor again until this moment. You know, give us that props too. I
You wanna
think
know
that a
it's
lot of
crazy?
times.
Because like you said, as far as like cooks giving pastry chefs respect, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
chefs giving pastries, and I noticed that a lot in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everything you were saying, I did notice where like uh, we'll have some pastry chefs, the best ones I know. Like I knew some amazing pastry chefs, but they
Mm-hmm.
got fired because the managers don't know how to budget their account. You know,
Yep.
so it's things like that where it's like, yo, like you're firing a person who like in charge of 30% of our profit.
And who
You know?
rounds out the dinner? Like I
Yeah, that's what I'm
literally,
saying.
if I make you a dessert, right? Let's
But
say
it was to the point where like with this particular person, people would order cakes and pies and everything just from that restaurant. You know, they
yes,
wouldn't even order the food; they'll just order the cakes and desserts. You
because they
know,
care.
and deep down, I think a lot of people would butt hurt because it's like, how is my food not selling more than this girl's cake?
Yep.
You know, and I personally don't want to put like a color biasness on it, but I personally think it was a little bit of that as well. You know, like,
Understood.
all right, because if
Yeah.
this is a different culture, she would have been celebrated. You know,
Yep.
but y'all picking a reason to hate somebody when they're
Yep.
not the reason. You know, like me, when I went to culinary school, I was a teacher's assistant, right?
Okay.
So I was pretty much a shoe shop to all the teachers because I was really good at what I did. So what I did purposely was I was a TA to all the pastry chefs. So I didn't even TA like any I didn't even TA any culinary classes because I
Okay.
was already advanced in that. So what I wanted to do was actually get one on one with the teachers, the pastry teachers,
Yep.
and learn from them before I had to teach the kids. You know,
Gotcha.
so it was like free education for me,
Yep.
and so like that respect because I remember times where I'll add like a little too much baking powder, and now everything is too wide. Like things
Everything
like
is
that is
messed up.
real.
Everything is messed up. You be like, what's going on? You add too much baking soda and it tastes weird now. And
Yeah, and it's like God dang it, and you don't expect that until like. But that's why I respect pastry stuff so much because
mhm,
one mistake and it could mess up the whole
the
process,
whole
and you
thing.
don't know until after it's done.
No, you're like you can ruin like something like when I teach my students teaspoon versus tablespoon. I'm like,
Yeah,
you mess up, you read that TB instead of that TSP, and you like,
it's
I'm like, did
over.
it say TB? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, you messed up, you didn't put enough. They're like, what?
Hmm.
I'm like, they can't taste it. I'm like, because you didn't put enough, or they put a tablespoon, a cent. I'm like, bro, you put a tablespoon of what?
A
Like, no,
cinnamon, Jesus.
Jesus, you're gonna die. Like, or cayenne, didn't know how to read it, and
Hmm.
they mess it up.
Like
And
I
it's
said,
always
it's the
little things.
chemistry, understanding the
Yes,
chemistry of food. Pastry chefs had to have that science down 101. I call y'all like the doctors. Y'all got to be surgical.
yes,
Y'all had to make sure everything is where
it's
like a
there.
cook, we could be more like freestylers because it's like
Mm-hmm.
we can mess something up and we can hide it. We like, nah, we're
Yep.
gonna take that. We're gonna take where bacon is like you can't hide a mess up. You can't.
No, you throw it
So
out.
that level of respect for me is like it's
Yeah.
something just as the level of any chef I know. Like
Yeah, you throw it out. Like I remember 25 degrees, a little like literally like 10 to 25 degrees too hot can ruin
mhm.
a cookie.
Even like the temperature of the room, like you
Yep.
know what I mean. People don't even understand that. If the room is too wet, you might not
Yep.
can't make this. If the room is too dry, you can't make this.
Yeah.
Like chocolate. A lot of people don't even know you gotta be in a tempered room to make
Yeah.
chocolate. So like
Chocolate
it's
and bread, all that stuff.
everything, everything. So just understanding all that, like people, I feel like for one, a lot of people don't actually go to school for cooking and
Mhm.
become chefs. So they lack of like understanding even how to create pastries. You know
Yeah.
that would down the respect, but I get
Yeah.
it. Y'all get all the respect in the world from me for real.
Yeah, that I think that makes me, grinds my gears a little bit. Um, what else? Oh, as being an entrepreneur, sometimes the hours the
Mhm.
hours can be great. Don't get me wrong, because I can choose whatever hours I want. But also sometimes the hours are long, and especially now as a private chef, hours can be long, and if something's not finished, I have to finish it. So like what a lot of times I remember when I was doing Museum of Food and Drink, I was executive chef last year. I did all of their lunchbox meals. What is it? Shoebox lunch boxes? Yeah,
Mhm.
shoebox lunch boxes. And when my workers didn't finish it or they messed it, let's say they messed up, I had to stay after and fix it. And they were like,
Mm.
what do you think? I was like, well, I gotta fix it. They were like, you're not going home. I'm like, no, you're off the clock, but I gotta fix it. It still has to be done. So
Mhm.
I still gotta keep going and finish it. And they're just like, oh, I'm like, yeah, this is why making those tough decisions, even like this is what makes or breaks if I hire you, keep you hired or fire you.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I have to go back too many times after you leave from your shift, what do I need you for?
Mm-hmm.
You're making more work for me, or are you making my work easier? So
Mm-hmm.
those are times where you be like, damn, I want to quit. Um, when you gotta fire somebody, I don't like to fire.
Listen,
I don't like to fire,
I'll be
but
real.
sometimes,
I used to feel it some type of way, but now in my journey and just knowing like what I know now, like I don't be having a problem with it if they deserve it, you
yes,
know. But there's levels to it. Like I'm
yep,
not one of those people that just gonna instantly fire somebody,
right,
but it's a certain. It's like any job. It's a certain criteria that you have to meet. You know
mm-hmm.
what I mean? Like you're not gonna come into my workplace and be a miserable person. Now you're bringing the energy down. You're not
Yep,
gonna come in and being a lazy person. Now you
mm-hmm.
got everybody else picking up after your slack. You know, it's certain things like it's to me. It's really like 3 or 4 core things. You know, if you could get that done, I could work with you. But if you
Yep,
can't get those done, I have to let you go. You
yep.
know, but because trust me, I used to be just like that. I used to be, I don't like firing people,
I
but
I
some
mean,
people,
now, like you said, now, before, when I first started, I was like, ugh. I'm like, can you just not come tomorrow?
because a lot of people will take advantage of your sympathy, you
Yes.
know, and that's one thing I learned, especially like throughout ownership and like management. Like you could be a nice manager, but
Mm-hmm.
the workers will use you because they know you're nice. So now they might
Yep.
become late every 15 or you know what I mean?
Yep.
Now they come in like little things like it's little things, you know, it's the little things that I realize like, nah.
You gotta be firm. So what I
Mm-hmm.
do now, a lot of times, even like when I'm making oh God, another thing is, I would say that I hate about it is, as an entrepreneur, as the person that takes the calls, sometimes I've learned I can't take the calls, because what happens is a lot of customers take advantage of you too. And they think, because, oh, it's Chef Lexis, I know you. I'm like, no, you gotta pay the price, because this is how I keep. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, it's not just me. I have workers. I pick up the phone because it just makes life easier sometimes. But I have workers, like people that work for me, that do the work, and I have to pay them. And I have
Mm-hmm.
utilities, and I have to pay for products, and all things that come with a business. And I just feel like sometimes
People don't understand.
they don't understand that, and they think because they spoke to me like, oh, this is gonna look out for me. No, this is the rule, and this is the rule. Like, like 50% on deposits, no refund. Like that
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't change because you spoke
It
to me.
doesn't.
I still need the rules to stay the same. So that kind of makes you want to be, I swear, it has frustrated me that, so that I take myself away. I fix that problem by having another person. And then when I
Mm-hmm.
don't have the other person, I make them go through email.
Mm-hmm.
So that way there's a barrier, and then we just don't talk.
It gotta
Only
be
certain
about it.
people get me on the phone.
Yep. You can't be on the phone. Now I realize that like
Mm-hmm.
I can't be on the phone unless you already paid a deposit or something. It gotta be
Yes.
something because what people will do to waste your time. You'll be on the phone with them for 2 3 hours talking about ideas and everything, and then they'll never call you back. The
Never call
next
you
thing you
back.
know, they using your ideas for themselves. You know,
Yep.
there's a lot of things where it's like, oh nah, y'all not, I can't. Like just like me, like it was to a point where uh I can't do anything under a certain budget. Like if it's under this,
Yes.
I cannot do it because it's not going to make me a profit at all. You
You're
know,
not even, it's not even enough money to cover the food sometimes. And they're
that's
like,
what I'm
I'm like,
saying.
it's not enough. By the time I go
Especially
get the
now,
food, shop, gas,
labor codes, travel, like
it doesn't
trust
work.
me, I get it. I get it.
So they're a hassle. But those are for the most part, like those are the basic things with food. I think that's it. Like I said, a little bit more respect for our chefs.
Mm-hmm.
A little more leniency from our people. And
Mm-hmm.
just little things, just little things that can just be tweaked a little bit here and there with some little fine tuning. But man, sometimes those things make you want to just throw it in. It may seem like a little thing,
What?
but
Listen,
it makes you like, forget this job. What I'm doing here?
just forget this career. Like fuck this shit. Like what the
What was
fuck?
I do? Why did I choose? It's like
I'm
everything I
like,
got to
yo,
think
God,
about
why
it.
did you make me so gifted at this? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, right. Why am I so gifted at this? When it's crazy, because when I was like, I be laughing when I talk to my workers. I'm like, yeah, I could have been an accountant right now. at a big firm. I'm like, yup, I could have been an accountant right now. And here I am.
Sitting on the desk.
Sweating and cooking. Why did I choose this?
Nah, you choose it because you love it, though,
I do.
And that's one thing, like, a lot of people, especially like now, I see a lot of people don't genuinely love it, like, as far as like genuinely, like, listen, I'm willing to work 16, 18 hours to get it done, like how you just stated, you know what I mean? Listen, I'm gonna stay and get this shit done. Like, a lot of people, they'll leave. They'll be like, it's not my job. A lot of people will come just for a paycheck every week because we get paid weekly most of the time instead of bi-weekly. A lot of people come just to, I don't know, like, a lot of people don't really come because they generally want to be a chef or like perfect at what they do. I think that to me is the most frustrating part.
Oh, it's so frustrating.
People that don't generally love it. Because me as somebody who generally love it, I'm gonna bring that energy out of me anyway. But sometimes I need that energy back.
Yes.
So if I'm not around people that generally don't love it, I'm just getting a lazy attitude. I'm getting that energy I get back, I don't like. So like, to me, it's one of those, like, I make sure wherever I'm a chef at, that energy is reciprocated, because if you don't love doing what you're doing, especially as a manager, an owner, a assistant manager, if y'all don't love this shit, y'all can't expect me to come in here and just change a culture.
Be happy.
Yeah, because people are.
Also, one thing I would say about that, this is about the industry though. They gotta cut these hours. They gotta cut this out for everybody. You know what I mean? For the people, like, we need to figure out how to eliminate these long hours for chefs. I don't know if we break it up, do something, make it more attractive.
I think honestly it depends on the location, because for example, like, I'm in Atlanta right now, right? And Atlanta, a lot of places tend to close like 9 o'clock.
Right.
Those, like, you as a chef, you might come in at 11 or like 10. I mean, or like 12.
Okay.
And the restaurant probably don't open till like 5. So between 5 to 9, so it's like,
that's the only prime time cooking.
Yeah, it's not like in New York. New York, you might be there 18 hours, 17 hours.
Yeah.
Because New York don't sleep.
People don't realize that. They be like, oh, just go get a chef job. I'm like, yo, somebody just offered me 4 to 2 a.m. 4 p.m. to 2 a.m.
You see what I mean? And that's what it's like, nah, I'm not about to cook. And that 2 a.m. is
not final.
Yo, I tell people all the time, my cutoff is 10 p.m. I'm not cooking past 10 p.m. You're not about to get me cooking at 12 a.m. somewhere. And no, I need some sleep too. Like, I'm an all-day person. I could do breakfast, lunch, dinner.
Right.
But you're not about to get me doing midnight shift.
Shift.
I'm sorry. I'll pay somebody.
Midnight shifts. People don't realize, because you got to clean up. You can't just cook. You got to clean too.
I've been tired. I remember the days where I've been getting up 3 a.m. and then you got to wait for a train for an hour because it's only one train. Then you got to drive that train, and then the train stops for half an hour. And now it takes 30 minutes to get home, but it took you an hour and a half. Now you're home at 5:30. You got to go back to work at 3.
Yeah. You got to get back up to work. I'm like, y'all don't understand.
Nah.
Even if you drive, it's a lot. So, yeah, lots of little things. Nothing,
But how about this one? Let's switch it up. What are the highlights of your career? Like, what are some of the best moments of your career where you're like, you know what?
So let me change it because you're in my. Let me see. I got some light here. I'm trying to get.
Nah, you good?
I'm trying to get rid of the sunlight that's chasing me.
Oh, I see it.
I have no curtains yet. I know this is funny.
Listen, congratulations on that. So
the sun is moving with me, and I'm trying to keep the sun here. Here. Yeah, it's great lighting because I didn't have to use any lighting today, so that worked out really good. So that's good. Highlights of my career. Oh, so when I started, I was pregnant and I had my first son. So I think one of the first highlights of the career, it was just actually having my own schedule to even manage to raise my children and have my own business. because and have my career. I just knew that once I got pregnant, well, I wasn't got pregnant with my first son. I was like, they ain't gonna hire me. Like I just knew that wasn't gonna happen. And then when I got pregnant with my second son, I was like, yeah, this is a wrap. I need to, and it's sad to say, but it's true. I need to change course. So that means that I need to go into catering and get these catering orders and figure this out. The shop kind of just fell into my lap. It was a space that was available, and my grandmother lived in the building, so it was cool. And then they let me use the space, so it was cool. It worked out. It just worked itself out. I opened my first bakery when I was what? My son. Oh gosh, I was 22.
Yeah, trust me, I seen that. I'm like, yo, you don't even understand what you did. Like, I think
Yeah.
honestly, as a black woman, you did some historical stuff, and like people don't
Yeah.
even like. To me, I find that like high key, like amazing. But to be 22, a black Latino woman, and like have your own bakery in Harlem of all places,
Yep.
that right there.
Yeah. You know, it was cool because then it was like, okay, I get to do this. And it was crazy because I was still in school. So when I would go to school, I was in my last year at City Tech, finishing up my culinary degree. And they were like, oh, they would go out of my room, say, hey, what does everybody do? And then when they get to me, I was like, oh, I'll go last. And I'm usually the person that goes first. So I was like, let me just go last these times. So when I go last, they're like, okay, you know, what do you do? Who are you? Blah, blah. And I'm like, I'm Lexis, and I own a bakery in East Harlem, and I make pastries, cookies, candies, and cakes. And they're like, you did what? I was like, yeah, I own a bakery. Like they're like a brick and mortar. I'm like, yeah, a store. I was like, I actually just left. That's how I made it here. And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, I opened a store at 8 a.m. Like between 7 and 8 a.m. Then I just get it ready. My mom will come after me. So I will pull the gate, make sure everything is ready. If I have to bake off a couple cookies, bake them off, and then get on a train. For everybody know New York, I get on 125th Street, get on the 5 train, go to 4 or 5, I think the 4 or 5, whatever, and go to City Tech, to downtown Brooklyn, and then get off the train and run to class, like literally like 3 times a week. So I would make it there, stay there all day, and then come back. So that was cool. But that was some highlights. That was cool to share, like that people could see that you could be under 30. Because let's remember, under 30 and own your own bakery, own your own shop. That was cool. What was another highlight? When I got featured for Harlem Eat Up. I was in the first Harlem Eat Up. And I'm in that first picture. That's when I got to meet everybody else from Harlem, all the other entrepreneurs and the other restaurateurs. And I got to meet just great people that understood where I was coming from. And I was the youngest person there. Like there were young sous chefs, there were young chefs, but there weren't young owners.
You see
so
that?
It was cool. They were like, oh, where you cook at? I was like, oh, I own Lady like sister like owner. I was like, yeah, like I'm the owner, my mom, and we have this bakery on the east side. Like, oh, wow. So that was cool because I met a lot of great people. What's another highlight? When I was on Chopped, it was on my bucket list. So it was cool to be on Chopped. I was on Chopped Sweets. That's another series.
How was that experience for you?
Yeah, it was cool. You know, it's real. I know people always ask me that. It's very much real. Time is real. I do not know what is in the baskets. It's all real. And it's fun because when you see the ingredients, you're like, of all things, why this? You know, so I think in one of my baskets was camel fat. Camel fat? And it's so gamey. It's so weird and gamey. Camel fat was in one of my baskets. I think carrot jam. That was weird too. Carrot cake jam. Oh, what else was in there? We had some type of other animals' eggs, but it was similar, so it didn't work. It was cool. It was when I opened it up. See, that's a baker knowing. When you open it up and you look at the yolk to white ratio, it was pretty similar. So you knew that you could use it still 1-to-1. But that's something you would only know if you're a baker. You know what I mean? Because you would be like, oh, I'm looking at the egg. I'm like, it's 1-to-1. It's cool. We could just use it. But where I think ostrich or some other egg, the other eggs that are too big, the yolk is too much. So you have to cut it to make sure that you have enough. But yeah, that was cool. I met some great people on there, so that was really dope because we stay in contact to this day. And then
Nice.
Andrew, that's really cool because we went through that experience together. So
Mm-hmm.
that was fun. And it was cool just to see myself on TV, and my sons got to see me on TV, and that was a great moment. Like to
Yeah,
invite
I was about
everybody
to
to the show.
ask you how was that? How was it? How was the transition for you to actually like display your talent? Not just display your talent, but display your talent with the world watching, pretty much. You know, with the pressure of the world watching. How
Yeah.
different is that, or is that something you felt like was naturally in you to?
Hmm. So I guess so I always how can I say this? I think I've always wanted to be the star. That makes
Mm-hmm.
sense. I'm always like I was like number one. Like they say on Talladega Nights, if you're not first, you're last. You know, I just feel like that's who I am. I'm like I'm first. I'm this. I'm that. I'm everything. And showcasing who I am, personality, I was like, oh, easy, piece of cake. But showcasing my food worldwide was kind of different because I'm not the chef that has the tweezers and measures everything and makes everything
Mm-hmm.
look pretty picture perfect. I'm not that chef. And I like things that are very homey and rustic and looks like they come from home and they're
Mm-hmm.
approachable. I love those. Don't get me wrong. I love a good entremont. I like a good, entremont, the layer cakes. I love
Mm-hmm.
those. I love a great croissant. And don't give those are perfect
But
things
it's
in our
nothing
world.
better than home cook, like that home rustic.
That home
Trust me, I'm
recipe.
the same way. Like
Yeah,
I
so
could, I could cook gourmet all day, but it's nothing better
yes.
than like that regular,
That
just like a
regular,
plate that
regular.
don't look like nothing, but it
It
tastes like
looked
everything.
good, but it just don't
Yeah,
look fancy.
yeah.
And they're like, because my food always looks good, it just doesn't look fancy, and I'm okay with that. And people are like, well,
Mm-hmm.
why don't you? I'm like, because I don't. Do I necessarily need that all the time? I have those moments for that. Like I have those private dinners for that. I have those
Mm-hmm.
things, but I need to show you that real food looks good.
You need to. I need to still show you what's in me. You know,
Yes,
like not what y'all want. I'm talking about
with
what
me.
I love and I grew up on it. My
Yes,
Yeah, I'm showing y'all my love of food, you know, and my love of food isn't always, oh, it's gonna look the best because sometimes you can have the best looking thing and it tastes nasty
tastes
or it
terrible.
tastes regular, you
Like they
know.
didn't even put any attention into the
Like
flavor
for example,
profile.
as a pastry artist, like as a pastry chef, there be some things where I seen pastry chefs work on for like 2 days, right? And
Yes,
then when they come in and you try it, it tastes like a regular Snicker bar. They was
regular
like,
degular.
yo, you
Like,
get 2 days worth of this for a Snicker bar
yeah,
taste?
is this
Like,
really what I waited for? Like, this not
yeah, it's
adding up.
that. I thought it was gonna be something like, oh my god, like if it's gonna
Yeah,
take that long, it will look that fancy. It gotta be something like, you
yeah.
know.
Oh, you know what's another great moment I had? I want to say when I was they called. So okay, I closed my shop in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
18. I closed my shop 2018. 19. Sorry, literally right before the pandemic. One or the other. Like I think I closed it right before the pandemic happened. And I think days before I closed the shop, Shake Shack called me and said they wanted to feature my cookies in their Shake Shack in Harlem.
Wow.
That was a great moment because what people didn't know is I was really working on that relationship for like a year.
Mm-hmm.
And I had met them at Harlem Meetup. And we worked and I collabed with them. So I met them the first year and they were like, oh no, we're not looking for anybody. We have somebody. I was like, okay, no problem. So I kept the guy's number and I would just send him desserts. And then that was when they were open, I think on the upper west side, like by Columbia, they have a location over there.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were like, no, we're not worried about that. We're not doing anything. I said, no problem. Kept sending them desserts. And I would just call him and just talk to the guy. I think his name was Adam. I was just calling him every so often. And then the next year, when Harlem came back around, he asked us to do the collaboration with them.
Mm-hmm.
So then I did the collaboration with them for that and for Gracie's Mansion. So for the mayor's office.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that with Shake Shack. They did my bread pudding in their custard. So that was cool. Then I want to say like a couple days before I closed the shop, they call me. He's like, Hey, Lexis, I was like, what's up? I said, I got good news. I said, what's up? He said, we're opening up a location 2 blocks from you. Would you like to be the pastry chef, the pastries for the custard that's going into that place? I was like, sure. So that was pretty dope because they took my snickerdoodles and they made it into a Lady Lexis Sweets custard at it was called the 125th Street Treat at the Shake Shack right there on 125th Street.
Yo, that's an amazing story. I'm not gonna lie. Like,
yeah.
What? Oh,
Shake Shack.
You don't even understand how much history you making right now. Like I'm at all right now because like you don't even understand stuff like that. You know, especially coming from us in our culture, like you don't hear successful stories like that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
You don't hear it where it's like, there's this young entrepreneur, from born and raised out of Harlem, never took no for an answer, and got everything she wanted. Like things like that. That's the stories that I like to hear. Those are the stories that I feel like make the younger generation want to become something. And also like especially in our neighborhood where we grew up, it's not like a one path thing. It's not like, oh, I can only be this in order to get out the hood, or I can only be that. Like like you show people, just like I feel like I show people, like, yo, you could take this culinary and baking world and
do
go
anything
to the top with it. Like this world for me did so much. I went across the world a lot. I went across the world times just because of my talents, and cooking. You don't gotta be a basketball player. You could be like, you could generally be what you love to do, and you'll see how God manifests that just because that's what He called you to do. You're doing His calling by doing what you love to do.
Yes.
And He's blessing you with that. And a lot of people, like, I wish they really sat down and actually see it how I see it. Because it's like you're still so young. Just imagine when you're in your 40s and your 50s, you probably gonna have like chains of places, like, things like that is a blessing, I like that. I like hearing things like that.
Yeah.
I really do.
A little perseverance.
Hold on, give me 1 second.
No problem. Come on, what's going on here? Okay, there we go. Let's get out of the sun. The sun's trying to take me out.
Okay, there we go.
The sun is trying to take me out. I couldn't see you. Like, what's going on?
Nah, that's cool.
I mean, you can still see me. It's really bright, but like that was super bright. I'm like, oh my god.
So tell me, like, what are some things as far as like in your future, like future endeavors? What are things you're looking forward to? What are things that you see yourself doing like in the future?
So it's crazy because it's kind of come full circle. So before, obviously, I had the bakery, and the chair. So before I had the bakery, right? And when I had the bakery, I thought that was my way. I miss it terribly, terribly, terribly. So now, and it was crazy because then I wanted to create a team of people or private chefs that would go out and cook for people. And I left that alone then. But now I see the need for it, especially because of COVID, because that's how I got to being a private chef. So now, just so everybody knows, I became a private chef now. So now I go to people's houses, I cook for them, I do meal plans, I teach culinary classes, and because I don't have a brick and mortar anymore. So, but I miss a shop. Don't get me wrong. I miss my shop. I miss people being able to come in and just see me and check me out and just hang with me and get their energy. It's amazing. So for the future, what I have now is I have my clients. I think I'm going to really go forward with bringing on other private chefs and creating this I guess vortex of private chefs that could go out on my behalf, so that they can go out and I just send them to different places because I can't be everywhere. I can't do everything. You can't be. Yes, I can go as Chef Lexis. I guess now I gotta own it, right? Celebrity Chef Lexis, but sometimes I can't, and those other clients will understand, and they'll take somebody in place of me, or they'll take my same foods that I have that I've given to these people that I trust, and then take them at their place.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing I want to do. I would love to open up a new Lady Lexus Sweets, but that's something I want to find a partner for because I want to go all the way out with that one. That one is for the partner to call me. So if they see this, I'm looking for a partner for Lady Lexus.
When they see this, trust me.
When they see this,
you're gonna get everything you ask for in this industry.
Yeah.
I generally feel that because like I said, someone who real recognize real, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and like you could tell it by energy. It's a certain aura, you know, and
Yeah.
a lot of people don't have that certain aura.
Yes.
You know? So just talking to you, I could tell like you're in that level of like the cream of the crop, pretty much, you know.
Thank you.
And we're still young, you know.
Yeah.
So like, trust me, like I have no doubt that you're gonna get everything you want. Like I could already see it. You know, especially like you have the cookies and Shake Shack before.
Yeah.
You under 30, like come on, a black woman under 30 with cookies and Shake Shack, like things like that is like, you know how inspiring that is to people. I'm highly sure you got a lot of little girls looking up and checking what your name is. You know. And I wouldn't be surprised in a few years you have people like Chef Lexis, you inspire me so much. Like
I know.
I definitely wouldn't be surprised about that, you know? Especially like if they keep like them rerunning your competition on the Food Network and stuff, things like that. Like people see your face.
Yeah.
You know, and people want to see like it's inspiring. I give you that much. Like I definitely give you that much. You have an amazing story. You know, and I'm so happy that I was here to listen to it. You know, like because things like this is what the world needs to hear. You know, you need to hear why you became so successful. You know, you needed to hear the ups and the downs of it. You know, and I generally appreciate you for taking this time to do this. You know, but before we go, you know, I want to ask you one question. And this is something that I like to do. I want you to leave the audience with one quote that they could live by.
I don't even know if it's a quote, but it's 3 words that I tell everybody to live by. Patience, persistence, and perseverance. So you got to be patient because things, you know, they take time. Patience, what I say, patience, I done messed up. I done lost it now. Patience, perseverance, and persistence, right? Mm-hmm. You gotta see it through. You gotta keep going. You can't, you gotta just wait for the moment. Like I know people like they don't understand, like, I don't understand why I'm not there yet. I have those moments too. I don't understand why I'm not there yet, but I forget that I'm somewhere where somebody wants to be. Mm-hmm. So my patience got me here. My perseverance got me here. And I just gotta keep pushing through to get it. And just be persistent. You gotta keep like, I don't give a damn how many times somebody say no. No this time, but not no next time. No, maybe it's yes one time, you know. And that yes one time got me in Shake Shack. That yes one time got me on Chopped. That yes one time got me in Harlem Eat Up. It got me featured chef at Food and Wine Festival alongside Marcus Samuelson. That one yes.
I tell people don't be discouraged by the no's because you'll hear a lot of them in your life. You're gonna hear no more times than you hear yes. So if you ever discouraged by the no's, you already lost. You know you can't.
Always gonna be lost.
You can't be. You can't be because I like that. I like hearing that. I like that. I like that quote. But like I said, thank you so much, Chef Lexis. Like you don't understand this. This has been a long time coming. I remember I asked you like a year ago. You know, but
you gotta remind me. It don't matter. I am not that person. I'm not stuck up.
No, it's not that. It's not that. What it is, I don't care about.
You know, I'm regular. I'm like, yo, you gotta call me.
Listen, to me, it's one of those like the fact that you're projecting up. You know what I mean? You're not staying stagnant. You're not going down. You're projecting up. That's all I want to see from all my chefs. You know, like just project up. We'll talk later. You know, you you in your zone right now, we'll talk later. You know,
Right.
so that's how I look at people. Like, you can't talk right now, we'll talk later. Now we got more to talk about.
Yes.
But like, trust me, like I genuinely thank you once again, like for this interview. I know it's been very inspiring to me. I know it's going to be very inspiring to the audience and the viewers. And you know, next time I'm in New York, hopefully we could do a real cooking side by side.
I got a space now where I do classes, so yeah, we could do that. We could host something.
Yeah, definitely, we'll host something. Look it out soon. You know, Chef Lexis, Chef Like Nitty. You know, we gonna do something
that'd be good
in the future. But Chef Lexis, once again, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
To my audience, peace out and love, man.